Everybody. If everybody take their seat, please. Thank you. Your name tags for all of our panelists. First off, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Pennsylvania Biotechnology Center. My name is Lucas. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of all three of our nonprofits. I have the president next to me for the Hepatitis B Foundation, Sherry Cohen, the president of Bloomberg Institute, Randy Heyer, and of course, our president emeritus and the man who started all this, founder, Dr. Timothy Block. So, with that in mind, what we had planned for today was to have an interesting discussion on biotech and the ways that the state can really impact, accelerate, make your lives better. And what we wanted to do structure-wise is maybe go around the room, everybody, introduce yourself, who you're with, maybe a little bit about your company, try to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes. Then we'll then turn it over to the governor for a statement and we'll open up the discussion. So, what up, Shug?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lou, and thank you so much for coming to visit us today. My name is Dr. Sherry Cohen. I'm the president of Hepatitis B Foundation, and we are a nonprofit organization working to save the lives of 2.5 million people in the U.S. who have hepatitis B. In Pennsylvania, I don't know if you know this, but Pennsylvania has among the highest rates of Hep B and liver cancer in the country, and we are co-leading a cross-state coalition to be one of the first states in the U.S. to eliminate both hepatitis B and liver cancer.
Sharon, I'm rooting for you. Oh, thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for coming, Governor, and Senator Santarsiero. Thank you for being here and all the work you've done for us. So yeah, I'm Tim Block, the co-founder of this place and the Hepatitis B Foundation and the Bloomberg Institute. And building on what Sherry said, Pennsylvania really is, it's been said, and actually my wife is also here, my co-founder, Joan. I think I said Joan came up with the line that Pennsylvania really is kind of the home for a lot of hepatitis B and liver cancer research and discovery. The virus was discovered here by Barry Bloomberg. Vaccine was developed here by Morris Hillman, and of course, I could go for here, but I'm so glad you're here because this is a very unusual place. This is this place is built out of an old warehouse. It's not one of the soaring centers like the University City Science Center. This place was, closing, 140 jobs were lost. I should point out that Jim Greenwood was our congressman here in his office, showed us this place, convinced us to take it as an adaptive reuse, help make it happen. The big part of getting this place going. The reason we created this was, of course, to benefit the Hepatitis B Foundation as a nonprofit that owns this biotech center. We wanted to create a community where entrepreneurs could come with nothing but their ideas. So you didn't have to much money or anything. And we've got a couple of these entrepreneurs here who are examples of that. Come with your ideas, set up and work and turn your ideas into growing companies. And our thinking was Hepatitis B Foundation would benefit from that by being here, having the presence of the knowledge community, and of course we do grants a little bit, but it's true. And so today now you're sitting in really, as I'm sure Lou showed you, remarkably one of the most successful life sciences incubators in the country. The biggest return on investments and all the other metrics that were used. And that's of course big credit to Lou and what he's done, but it really is quite phenomenal. And we just wanted you to see this model. I myself was a professor for many years at Jefferson Drug Penn, of course. And I'm really very delighted to come back and see you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Governor. I'm Dr. Randy Heyer. We met before, and I have two jobs here. I'm the president of the Bloomberg Research Institute, which is the scientific arm of this whole operation. And it's an amazing place, and you'll hear from some of our very distinguished scientists who are making major contributions in places that haven't been done. And we have a translational research program here. We try to take discoveries out of the lab and into the arm, change people's lives, make a difference. And of course, they go on to create jobs. And the jobs and those jobs, some of those companies are here in Pennsylvania, of course, those jobs stay here too. So that's an important aspect of what we do. And I can talk more about that later in the course. I'm also the CEO of Brennan Biotech, which is one of the small companies here. And so I'm actually on the other end of the stick as well. And we have a very exciting cancer technology. It has perhaps a major indication in a rare pediatric cancer where there's no alternative. So it's sad story, hopefully we can fix, it also represents a huge market opportunity. And that company is successful, if the technology, underlying technology is successful, would literally ultimately be sold for $10 billion or something of that nature, which represents the jobs impact, and the economic impact that we're doing here.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Hi, Governor. I'm Warren Dantis, and I'm board chair of this biotech center and a proud contributor to your campaign. So as a supporter, I was delighted to read about your budget proposal in March, early March, where you're increasing the investment in the manufacturing innovation program by 50%, with a focus on translational research into biotech and robotics, and also the 25% increase in funding for STEM education, which I think aligns perfectly with a program that Lou is spearheading at this biotech center, which brings students from Central Bucks to study chemistry here at the biotech center.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Mary Beth Perler, and I am with IGM Bioscience. We are a Silicon Valley-based biotech, an established biotech. It's been around for about 12 to 13 years, based upon some technology originally out of Stanford. We opened our presence here at the Pennsylvania Biotech Center about a year and a half ago. The drivers for that decision were really access to talent in the pharma belt, as well as, frankly, some favorable economics. We are a company that has assets in the clinic, right? And we are early stage, what we call phase 1. So these are early stage trials, actually a couple moving into phase 2. We are on the cusp of some significant growth. We would like to believe that there is opportunity to retain our presence here in Pennsylvania, if not an expanded presence in Pennsylvania. So, like my colleague, would very much like to understand more about how you're thinking about investment here, how we kind of continue that growth story.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Governor, for coming. My name is Brennan and had 2 careers really. First as a scientist, bench scientist in big pharma here in Pennsylvania. And from there, jumped off and started a contract research organization, Flowmetric, which I founded in 2010 here at the center. Grew that to approximately 40 people with locations even in Europe. We sold that in early 2022, and now have created a very unique type of diagnostic company, clinical diagnostics, where we are a CLIA certified CAP accredited lab specializing in immune system testing. But we very much believe in the promise of the center, like the biotech center here, for what it represents in terms of possibilities in nurturing and growing companies. And I think we've done quite well here at the center under Tim and Lou, and we're excited to continue under your governorship also. Thank you.
I'm Lorenzo Pellegrini. I'm originally from Italy. I have 24 years of education. I can have magic power that can make my microphone whistle. I came here to the US because I wanted to make a difference in the life sciences, and I think this is the perfect place to do so. I am the money guy here. I run a venture capital fund that is a companion fund to this incubator and the BLabs incubator. We have very blue chip investors that invested in our fund. Brandywine, a global pharmaceutical Japanese company, and of course the support of Bucks County also. So our mission is to work with the companies here and invest in the companies, and at the same time trying to get good investment returns, but also try to be a good citizen. So help along with companies that may not be ready for an investment yet. Help along with the strategy or the positioning, or maybe it's messaging, or maybe fixing the slides in order to be able to position themselves to talk to other venture capitalists. So we believe that venture capital is a necessary ingredient for any innovation of any kind. Private sector can do things extremely well, especially if there's an economic incentive. So we really look forward to work here and play our role. And I should say that after seeing the Greater Philadelphia area, we just don't want to invest outside there. So very clearly within a couple of weeks, we came to this decision that we only want to invest here. We want to work with managers here, headquarters of the companies here, because if our companies are successful, they will bring in more money, more investment, attract acquisitions by big pharma. I think our model is Spark Therapeutics. I'm sure you're familiar with our model. That's a very successful story. We want to replicate 10 or 20 years, not just us, but with the help of their stakeholders. Our goal is to get to Spark Therapeutics in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Who are you? I used to be Jim Reason. So thank you for coming and making biotechnology a priority. Over the last 2.5 years, I've served as the chair of the Life Sciences Policy and Advocacy Group at the DLA Piper Law Firm. Prior to that, I served as the president and CEO of the Biotechnology Innovation Organization for about 16 years. Prior to that, I represented this district in Congress, and for 12 years, and for that, 6 years in state senate.
Hi, Governor. My name is Icon Karabudak. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Icon Karabudak. I'm a lifelong resident of Pennsylvania, and I had my start here at the Biotech Center in 2007 as a co-op student at part of Drexel University. So I've had the unique opportunity to really see everything grow, and that's given me the opportunity to continue my career. I've been doing everything in my power to stay here because this place has become a second home to me. This campus, this facility set up has really offered unique positions to others, including myself, where I was able to develop technologies and eventually a company that was then acquired by my current employer, Emergex Vaccines. That's a UK-based company, but now due to that acquisition, we've set up shop, their first site in the US here in Pennsylvania. They've recently acquired another establishment in Fremont, California, a 55,000 square foot facility. But I'm doing everything in my power to keep things here at this biotech center. Thanks to the infrastructure and services provided, they've made things very easy on us, and any other support that we could continue to receive would greatly benefit my company as well as others.
Thank you, Governor, for visiting us. I'm Kumar Shaluhai. I've been here for the last 20 years. I'm a professor and also a serial entrepreneur. So initially, early in 2004, we started a company called Synergy Pharmaceutical, which was based on a scientific discovery of mine, which was a totally new way of treatment of gastrointestinal disease and colon cancer. With just few people, we started the company. The company did very well. We went to listing for NASDAQ. And I continued developing the technology, and the technology is now approved FDA. In the process, we raised $750 million from Wall Street and created about 120 jobs. In 2017, when my drug was approved, the company was bought by Bausch Health. Then I started another company on named Pennsylvania Life Sciences, again with 2 people in hand. That company also succeeded very well. Went on to get listed on NASDAQ. We raised 86 million and created about 12 jobs, high-paid jobs. I was very excited about this because this is a totally new way of immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is so expensive and poor people cannot access it easily. So I came up with the concept of giving antibodies through oral or nasal, which patients can take at home. And I'm pleased to tell you that the technology is validated with studies in human. And now, just a few months ago, I started my 3rd company with the hope that this company would succeed as well. What I'm trying to tell you is that I have seen the way startup grow. One thing that I face all the time is the initial funding. Initial funding, of course, government grants are useful, but that's a very slow process. And that is where I've seen a number of ideas here who are not succeeding because of lack of funding. Jutao, Jingtao, they have excellent technology, just that the process is slow. And that is where we need the help from them.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon. So my name is Shapiro, is a professor and senior vice president and chief scientific officer of the Blumberg Institute. So our institute that's already have some leading edge research covers try to understand how the hepatitis B, hepatitis C, or flavivirus, how they cause the disease, and also use our technical platform to discover first-in-class antiviral drugs. For example, one of our HPV drugs that have been licensed by company and advanced to clinical trial, and another first-in-class drug against yellow fever virus that is currently supported by NIH for the clinical development. And besides this viral research, we also have the research that covers the platform technology for the developed DNA and RNA-based diagnosis. And I think that Blumberg Institute as academic branch, and here that was really helps the biotech center's success to provide an academic-like research environments. So it's a company that can actually here to enjoy our seminars, our free communication, research communication. I think that was really important part of our center. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Xinhong Chang, a professor at Blumberg Institute. My antiviral drug discovery lab has been physically located on this campus for 16 years. And it's a birthplace for several exciting scientific discoveries. And as Jutao mentioned, last November, our yellow fever drug candidate was awarded a $32 million contract from NIH to help advance this product into clinical trial. And three Blumberg Institute labs, including my lab, Dr. Jutao Guo's virology and immunology lab, and Dr. Ye Yingdu's medicinal chemistry lab, with three labs worked together for 12 years to move this project to the current stage. And we also made good use of the talent here. So we received industry level consultations from many members within this center. And I think the drug development contract in this site rarely award to academic institute or universities. So this is one example of how this biotech center provide collaborative and inspiring environments to help advance the translational research.
Thank you.
My name is Alan Reitz. I came from the University of California and then did schools, and I came out to the East Coast to work in the pharmaceutical industry. And 2008, I founded a company here at the Biotech Center it's now called Fox Chase Therapeutics Discovery, Inc. At the time, we had the first ever Small Business Innovation Research Award from Principal Investigator at Fox Chase Cancer Center. But FCPDI, as it's called, is an independent small business and doesn't have an institutional affiliation with Fox Chase Cancer Center. From that first SBIR grant, we've gone on to receive 18 phase 1 SBRs, there's a companion program called STTR grants. We've also had 12 of the larger phase 2 awards as well. And we've also had substantial support from the Department of Defense, foundations, investment capital, as well as contract research support. You'd be interested to know, I think, that FCPDI for each of the last 10 years has been either number 1 or number 2 amongst all small businesses in terms of the Commonwealth, in terms of SBR, SCTR support from a dollar basis, each of the last 10 years. Also, just a few facts and figures. We have 28 staff right now. I think we counted up about 65 people have come in and out of our doors. We do a lot of training, interns, trainees, junior faculty and the like. So that's, one of the things that has happened here. 3 compounds currently in human clinical trials from our work. We've made over 15,000 small molecule compounds, new drug candidates potentially. We've had over $45 million of federal funding. So that's it for me, and thank you for coming, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Very much.
Hi,
Hi.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Winning.
I'm winning.
Thank you.
My wife reminded me every day during the campaign, not good luck, honey, go get it, but you better win. I'm sensing a little bit of that from you.
Yes, I probably would have been so disheartened about humanity if it didn't work out. So I want to thank, I am a New Jersey resident. I'm a New Jersey resident, so I think.
You said
But
But.
I told everyone I know in Pennsylvania, there's one way to go. And thank you.
Thank you.
I am a person who's never worked outside. So I come from a hospital. Oh, Maria Middleburg, Serologics, by the way. Hi, everyone. I'm a clinical research organization that is located here and has been for 5 or 6 years now. I come from a Pennsylvania hospital background, and my company, although small, works globally, but I encourage an integration of processes where I use hospitals and physicians and patient resources and organizations throughout the state and bring them into my projects so that even though I may not have the resources through an employee, I can exponentially increase the amount of labor by engaging hospitals throughout the state. And my focus is to work with hospitals here in Bucks County so that they can benefit from these clinical studies that I work on. And I think that, for example, Georgetown Hospital has been able to not need any capital funds for their laboratory for the past 5 years because they can use all the revenue they generate from the clinical studies that I bring to the table at their hospital so they can purchase equipment. They just bought a sequencer. They just redid their whole chemistry department. So it's a way of thinking, and I try to support the other companies here as well and go to them and say, I have a project right now. Can you do the testing, or do you have this, or do you? And I try to offer things to them as well.
Great.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rose Winchell, Senator Steve Santarsiero's Chief of Staff. Governor, thank you so much. Your staff has been wonderful to work with in these 100+ days, and excited to continue that work.
It's good to see you.
Is Bob Harvey, County Commissioner here in Buxton. Thank you, Governor, for coming. And you got a slightly shorter tour than I did the first time I was here. About that's 3 years ago. But I think it's easy to be impressed very quickly in this place, and I'm sure you have been as well. And as you know, anybody there's sometimes as an elected official when decisions really aren't that difficult. And supporting the activities that happen here and the people who are here is really not a difficult decision to make, at least on our part. And so we're happy to provide the support we've provided. We really do believe that located where we are with the talent that's here up and down the board and the record of success that's here,
this can be a center that can, lead the world, not just in job creation, investment, and breakthroughs, but in saving lives. So thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, Governor. Thank you for being here. Diane Marseglia, Bucks County Commissioner. I've been here since 2008, so I feel like I've watched this place grow up, and I'm so proud to have it here. And I just want to say that I represent all Bucks counties who've lost someone to a disease. I lost my mother to Alzheimer's and my father to liver cancer, and I count on the fact that you'll be here doing that research so other people don't have to face that.
Tim Brennan, I'm the new representative here in the 29th district, central part of Bucks County. I've spent my last 2 or 3 weeks, probably 2 months on appropriations committee talking about your budget. I'm very appreciative of the work that you've done, talking to the secretary as well, and what that does for jobs in Pennsylvania and also for innovation in Pennsylvania. And very, very much appreciative of your visit here. Thank you.
Governor, Steve Santarsiero.
Senator,
Welcome.
I think I saw you up on the wall out there.
I was gonna mention that, but you beat me to it. So, a little over 4 years ago now, when I first took office as a state senator here, I met with Lou and Tim, and we talked about how this place can really be the jumping off point to a biotech corridor here in Bucks County, and for that matter, in southeastern Pennsylvania. And as Bob said, and I think most of us who have represented this area in some capacity over the years have felt, it's a no-brainer supporting what is happening here. The growth, the economic growth, the potential that exists, and as Diane just mentioned, the ability to change and save lives is just extraordinary. And we, I think, have an opportunity here in Pennsylvania to become a leader. And we've had a couple of roundtables now in the last few years where we've looked at what other states have done and kind of trying to get our arms around what we in Pennsylvania could do. And I know we were all excited when you won for the reasons that Maria mentioned before, but also because of potential that we know you embody in being a leader in this space and being able to move Pennsylvania in the right direction. We were fortunate 2 years ago to have 3 of the 4 appropriations chairs here. And we're fortunate that Chair Bradford at the time did not, break any beakers. But that really did result, and I think in an understanding on both sides of the aisle in Harrisburg, that investment here and elsewhere in the state in life sciences is critically important. So we are continuing that charge to create this biotech corridor. I'm happily consider myself the prime cheerleader for PA Biotech, Bloomberg, and hepatitis B in Harrisburg. I'm going to continue that role. And I'm very grateful that you're here. You are the first sitting governor to visit this center. We are honored and grateful for that. So, thank you.
Thanks, Senator. Thanks so much. I'm Rick Siger. I'm the Acting Secretary of Community Economic Development for Pennsylvania. It's an honor to have that job and an honor to be with you today. I'll be extremely brief because I think folks probably want to hear from the governor. But I will say that as we think about building a strategy for growing our economy, I think we have to think about competitiveness and innovation. And it's very clear if you look at the data and you look at sort of what's happening in this region and in facilities just like this, which by the way is amazing in the tour, that life sciences has just a critical role to play in Southeast Pennsylvania and actually around the state. So as we look at models like this incubator and other kinds of investments or strategies we can employ, really excited to learn from all of you today, hear what you're thinking, what you're working on to help us get as smart as we can get, to move the Commonwealth forward. So thanks very much for the time. Governor.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. I'm going to be relatively brief because I want this to turn into a conversation. I came here today not to give a speech, but to learn from all of you and to take the lessons of what is working here in Bucks County back to do the work we're doing, not just to pass a budget, but to hopefully become a great leader in this space, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts with me. Lou, I want to thank you for your leadership. Your enthusiasm is pretty infectious. I enjoyed coming in here and seeing the energy that you brought to the conversation. I want to pick up on some threads in the dialogue that we had here. Tim, I thought it was interesting how not only did you, the founder of this place, but that you referred to it as an unusual place. And I think that's a really interesting term. What I find unusual about this place, even before we get to the scientific breakthroughs, is that you have governmental leaders at all levels from both parties working together. It's pretty unusual in our politics today. Yet the commitment that you've seen be made here at the local, state, federal level is really extraordinary. And it is an unusual place. It's also unusual for the reasons that some of you cited in your dialogue about how you collaborate and how you wander. I was talking to someone in their labs, how they'll wander out of the lab and talk to someone else to help contribute to the breakthrough that they are ideally working on. So it is an unusual place. Bob Harvey also referenced the fact that it's sort of perfectly located. I think I used the word perfect, but you spoke about the location. Here in Bucks County, in the greater Philadelphia area, we have access to so many different markets, so many big brains in the region. We even have a person from Jersey, which is fine. The location is so extraordinary, and we need to build on that and take advantage of where we're seated. I think it's also really interesting what Steve Santarsiero said. He said, we have an opportunity to become a leader. And when I speak every day about how Pennsylvania is now open for business, something I have been, saying literally every day, spoke about in my budget address, continue to speak about all across this Commonwealth. I think you have to look, if you're really open for business, to be able to do certain things really effectively. You got to process licenses and applications more quickly. We're doing that under Secretary Sigier's leadership. You got to put some real skin in the game, make real investments in the jobs of today that are going to lead to the breakthroughs of tomorrow, while at the same time investing in our school children so that they can become the people that power this place in just a few years. But it is also about planting a flag and saying, we're going to take advantage of our standing in certain sectors and be the best at it. Be the leader that the senator is talking about. And to me, when I look across this Commonwealth, I see many areas of opportunity, but three that really stand out to me. One is around energy, the other is around robotics and AI, and the third is around biotech. And here in southeastern Pennsylvania, and particularly in Bucks County, I see biotech as not just a driver of the life-saving work that you're going to do that Commissioner Marseglia was speaking about, but key to creating jobs and economic opportunities for people that oftentimes are shut out and left out of our system, of our processes. And so I view this as a necessary place where we're going to compete, and an area where we have a great foundation to build upon because of the wonderful work you've been doing here in Bucks County for a good long while. I said this when I gave my budget address, and I kind of looked over at the side of the room that may not agree with me all the time. And I said, look, whether you like me or not, one thing you need to know about me as governor is I am competitive as hell. I do not like to lose. And everybody should agree on that fact that we are going to compete again in this Commonwealth. And so I say that to let you know of how I approach this job every day, how Secretary Siger does, which is we want to build on the foundation of excellence that exists. We want to invest in our school children to give them the skills they need to succeed. We want to invest in incubators and companies and others who are doing really incredible work. And we want to focus on those areas where we see great opportunity, biotech being a key one there. So you'll see in my budget meaningful investments in the kind of initiatives that you rely on every day, the kind of dollars that you've been able to draw down over the years to help. We're plussing those up, we're increasing that investment. But I'd be lying to you if I sat here today and said, we've got as much money in there as Massachusetts has, for example, or some other states that have really made a commitment to biotech. That must change during my tenure as governor and during your time doing this work. We're making a down payment in this budget. I'm grateful to the representative and the senator who are here, who want to support that. But we need you to be successful and help show us a way so we can ramp up that investment even more and compete with the other states that have been doing this longer. We have the best workers, the best human capital. We're incredibly well situated. We have great research institutions. We have it all. We just now need government to also make the kind of investments that we've been making over the years to see this thing just explode and really grow at an impressive level. I believe we can do that. And I want to be a governor that earns your respect in making those investments. I want to be a governor that, you know, maybe one day, ooh, I can even get up on the wall there. I would insist. I would insist that it be a selfie of me in Greenwood. That's kind of break the mold, but I'm really grateful to be here. Now, we have resources at the state level, and as I said in our budget, we're making more investments. We need to get smarter at this, though. We need your advice, your guidance on how to make better investments, how to deal with that valley of death that the congressman was referring to, and how we might be a bridge to keep people out of that valley. How some of the earlier investments in our school children can help give you the workforce that you need to be successful. How the infrastructure investments we can make here to grow this particular facility here will lead to greater breakthroughs. How we can replicate what you're doing here out in Pittsburgh, where they have incredible research institutions that are doing a lot of this work. So I came here today to learn from you, learn about where we need to make the investments, how we can duplicate the work you're doing elsewhere, how we can build upon the important things that are happening here. And I want to go out and compete with the other states, and I want to be a cheerleader for all of you. So thanks for having me. And with that, I'd really like to just have a free-flowing dialogue here. Maybe you could call on people so I don't get in trouble. Anybody, but let's have a dialogue, and please let me know what we should know.
Why don't we start with we start with some of the challenges that some of you are facing. Randy, you want to lead off?
Yes, thank you, Lou, and thank you, Governor, for your presence, and also I want to add my voice. Thank you for winning. And sorry, this mic is on. Good one. Well, I represent one of the early stage biotech companies here. It's in the Valley of Death. The Valley of Death is the race to get clinical data.
Right.
Because clinical data and the valuations go up, all the investors come out of the woodworks this story is controlled. But right now I'm not there. I'm in the valley, and we're starved for cash. And this is where I think investments to help that cash situation can be really impactful. And I think one of the things in Pennsylvania is there's an apparent paucity, if you will, of venture capital money available to people like me, to come back to my company. And it is kind of sharp that one of the biggest, most interested investors I have right now happens to be in Silicon Valley. You know, and so that's not where I want to be right now. I'm here, of course, I'm the President's Institute, and my company's here. The technology came from CHOP in Philadelphia. It's mRNA. mRNA had a huge contribution from the city of Philadelphia, as you know.
Save millions a lot.
Millions. And all of us benefited from that. So this is the challenge I'm facing right now, because I have to pull back the reins in the company. I'm slowing down the development, slowing down those basically life-saving drugs to get into it for people, not to mention the opportunity for the company. So that's a challenge. I've said my three challenges are funding, funding, and funding.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, one of the things that we often hear from policymakers is about tax credits. And I'm wondering how you think about tax credits versus a direct investment in, like, for example, Lorenzo's Hatch Bio Fund, which then would redeploy those funds directly into companies. Some companies of which many, I think all of which are pre-revenue and are not able to take advantage of tax credits. Those direct investments can often pay a return to the investors in the fund. So how do you think about direct investments versus tax credits?
I'll offer some general thoughts, and Secretary, you should jump in. I think both are necessary, and we're open to both. I know there are some in government who sort of don't view tax credits through a positive lens. I do. I think we need to do both, and I think we need to do both at a much greater level than we're doing right now.
Secretary.
Yeah, I would just add that as we look at the set of tools that the Commonwealth has currently and include a look at the set of tools we don't currently have, we're doing kind of a really hard look, like tool by tool, both on the grant side, the cash side, and the tax credit side, to understand what's working and what's not. You know, would certainly value input from this group on that as well. And I, of course, agree with the governor. He's my boss, but I also agree with him. There's a place. No, there's a place for both. And I think the way you structure tax credits, whether you make them saleable and other things, is also an element. But point well taken. And I think it's something we have to look at carefully as we look at the toolkit.
Thank you. So Mary Beth, you mentioned IGM has some offices in Mountain View, California, and you want to, most of your R&D out here. What are some of the things that the state can do to help keep you guys here? Because you're very important at the center here, but obviously you may have a larger trajectory with your company.
So first and foremost, I want to emphasize what a rich experience it has been to join this community of companies here. Again, this is a Silicon-based company. You are obviously familiar with that environment out there. When I think about the contrast between the West Coast and the East Coast, not only the access to deep pharma talent, right? Up and down the New Jersey coast, right? Through Philadelphia, south of that, up through Boston, our ability to tap into those individuals. And frankly, a number of us are veterans of that environment. We want to stay here, right? We see lots of positives. Beyond the talent, we see an incredibly vibrant community where families will want to live.
Yeah.
It's frankly, it's a lot cheaper to live here. I think it's cheaper to operate here. The piece that we are looking for as our portfolio advances is basically an environment that is prepared when we are prepared to make substantial investments. So the big choices that will be confronting us over the next couple of years, we're looking at substantial manufacturing needs, right? So we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Lots of, the kinds of talent that we will need will stretch from VOTech up through PhD plus, all right? So it's a pretty diverse employee base that we will be looking at. This is not next year, right? This is not 2025, but it's probably not much beyond that. So my question to you, where can Pennsylvania be around about that time in light of the plan that you are putting together?
Yeah, that's the second time you basically asked me, how are you thinking about your investment? I wrote that down when you said it earlier, and it's a fair question. I think to keep a company like yours, we need to build out a broader infrastructure, whether it's more site development, more connections to our universities, to our K-12 system as well, more access to direct capital in order to make sure that as you're taking those steps and getting bigger, that we can both provide direct funding to that or tax credits if necessary, but also we want to try to be a connector for you with others in that manufacturing space to allow your business to grow and flourish. I hired a chief transformation officer, first time our state government has ever had that individual. And unlike the work that Secretary Siger does incredibly well leading Department of Community and Economic Development, this chief transformation officer's job, and again, working with the secretary, is to connect the dots between the various sectors, between the various industries to get you that help that you need to be able to grow and expand. A lot of times governors spend a whole bunch of capital trying to bring companies to their states, have them land here. We're doing a lot of that. We should have some good announcements to make in the next several days actually around that. But they can tend to ignore those businesses that are here. I kind of think about it as the 2550 plan, that company is 25 people. You can get them to 50 people, sometimes with a little bit of cash, sometimes with a connection, and then watch them really flourish from there. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on not just the dollars are gonna flow to you, but those connections that are really necessary to get from 25 to 50. I use those terms generally, not specifically. And so that's how we are looking at this. A company like yours, we want to stay here. We know we need to do a better job of also letting you know we're open for business and you have resources in us that can help you do that. I don't think that too many entrepreneurs have thought a lot about going to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for help in recent years. We want to change that. We want you to think of us as a resource as you grow to help us put those deals, those packages together to make it worthwhile for you to be here. The final thing I would say is this. You make the point that I stress every day. Silicon Valley is a cool place, but it's not an awesome place to raise your family. It's not an affordable place to be. We have more affordable housing, better access to different cities, markets, neighborhoods, etc. We've got a terrific, quality of life. Obviously, we've got work to do on public safety and some other issues that are critically important. Not as much right around here, but in other communities. So we know that quality of life stuff is a great selling point for this Commonwealth. And those are areas where we're making investments as well. Those are kind of soft investments that you might not see on a balance sheet, but are going to be really critical for a company like yours to grow and stay here.
I would, and I know you want to move on, but I would even argue that there's an opportunity to siphon a bit from the West Coast, right? You know, to areas like this, perhaps with some creative, again, incentives, right? To grow and basically, internalize some of that know-how from the biotech front.
Beth, I think you're spot on. I was in Pittsburgh the other day and actually Secretary Siger's former life, he was chief of staff at Carnegie Mellon University. So he is well schooled in that understanding of where the private sector and the university world meet. And was out there talking to some entrepreneurs and talking to a really successful entrepreneur in Silicon Valley who was complaining that coming out of COVID, he had been taking a whole lot of graduates from CMU to go out to the West Coast and work there. After COVID, they don't want to go to the West Coast. They want to stay here. So I've said, let them work from home. By the way, you should pay them to live in Pittsburgh, Silicon Valley salaries, and have them set up shop, sort of working from home, working in incubator space there and help us grow our economy here. And there's a lot of interest around that as I talk to leaders in Silicon Valley. So I think your point is right. Folks are looking for quality of life that we can offer here. We just have to put a little more foundation underneath the tech sector, the biotech, et cetera, that's going to help, be the glue that keeps them stuck here.
Agreed.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm going to give Santarsiero a little credit a lot of credit for the $5 million academic innovation zone. That was set up as a pilot program to specifically do some of what we're talking about, to go out, recruit companies from across the country to come to Pennsylvania for job growth. So I know it's a pilot, but with $5 million, we're going to try to do the best we can and maybe have the Hatch Fund help out with some follow-on investment, but a fund a little bit larger than that, if we're successful, could really help propel us into the next.
Speak to that or? Sorry.
No, you got, I want this to be an opportunity for you to hear from these entrepreneurs and scientists. But I think Lou's exactly right. I mean, this is as a pilot, it's a wonderful idea, but it's something that we have to vastly expand. And, I made a point before, as you noted, Governor, we do need to become a leader. We have that opportunity. I think we really do. And for the reasons you stated, with our location, so many things are advantaged here in Pennsylvania. And I think we're at that point, especially as we become older as a state, where our window is closing, right? Because as we get older, our workforce is going to get smaller, and that's going to become more of a challenge. But we have these opportunities, and we really need to capitalize on them.
So I don't know how we're doing on time, but I'm going to open up the floor. Okay, I'm going to open the floor to one or two questions, and we're going to have to be finishing up. Okay, Jim.
Not such a question, just a comment. As you're trying to advance support for financial support of this industry, you will encounter undoubtedly people who will on the right and will say, this is industrial policy. Why does the free market work this out? And to the extent the free market does work it out, but it doesn't work it out in a geographic way that's beneficial. So you get the University of Pennsylvania creates some great science. They license it out to an entrepreneur in the region. The entrepreneur is trying to raise money, and a venture firm from the east to the west coast, from rather, I should say Boston, or San Francisco, will say, we're very interested in your company. We'd like to invest X number of $1 million in it. We want to have someone on the board. So you have to relocate, you have to come to where we are. And so, and that's a phenomenon that we see happen way too often in Pennsylvania. So that is why it is good public policy to infuse those kind of dollars into this industry, to keep them here where they want to be and where they found their origins. Great. I have one more.
Yeah. So, as I told you, I've been here for 20 years, and I would like to share some of my experience here. So prior to coming to Pennsylvania, I was in St. Louis with Monsanto DB, and I was part of the discovery of Salamax, a multi-billion-dollar drug. I chose to come here for two reasons. First of all, lifestyle is raising family is very good in Pennsylvania. Initially, I started my company Synergy in New York, but then decided to move to Pennsylvania. Part of the reason, Dr. Tim Block has been very helpful. The second reason, I think this incubator is very unique. Nowhere you will find the conducive environment that we have. You have academic students, you have postdocs, and then you have biotechnology company. Starting a company, initial stages are very difficult, and most companies die in gradual death. Here, talented students can work for you, and that's cheaper. On the other hand, because these talented young students have the motivation to go after something, and that's what we've been able to do. And I'm pleased to tell you, most of my students or co-workers have done very well. And that larger credit goes to institute. The way of Tim and Lou have structured this institute is that it's open environment.
Thanks, Joe. So we're going to do closing remarks. I want to first, before I pass to the governor, thank all our panelists. I want to thank our elected officials for coming here and their tremendous support. Thank my fellow residents here, and obviously Dr. Block and everyone for showing up. This has been tremendous. It's a very exciting day for us. Hopefully we'll have more visits and more conversations, Governor. So thank you for your support, and you can have closing remarks.
Please, John. I wish this conversation could go on much longer because we have a lot to learn, and I know the secretary and his team will come back. I'd like to come back. I'd like to be the first and the second governor. And I guess what I would say is you should, as we leave here today, you should know that we want you to succeed. We want to partner with you, and we want your help helping you, right? Help me help you, right? The old line. If you could help us understand the investments that we've historically made that have worked, the investments that maybe weren't the best way to go, the kind of areas where your colleagues in other states are seeing investment dollars that you're just not seeing here in Pennsylvania that would be a real value add, that would be very helpful. And the timeline for that assignment is like yesterday. So if you could let us know that quickly, and I think letting Senator Santarsiero know that as well is really critical as we get into our budget season, so that we can get some resources as a down payment in this first budget of mine, and then be in a position to come back in my second budget and really hopefully dramatically increase these lines in this type of investment. Second, it would be very helpful for me as I try to make the case why an incubator like this deserves continued funds and why we need to replicate this elsewhere in our Commonwealth. To see what I'm sure you've already done, the economic analysis of what it means for individuals, their wages, what they're able to do in the community, the impact on Bucks County, the impact on southeastern Pennsylvania. That will again help me help you in this. Third, I'd like you to think of me and Secretary Siger as not just avenues to get a grant or a tax credit, but able to convene broader dialogue that will help you. If there's private sector funding that you're trying to attract, and my presence at a meeting, my presence by convening the various parties to the governor's office to get that done, I will do that. Similarly, if there are relationships that you're trying to engage in with universities, as an example, or with companies in Silicon Valley, where you feel as though our ability to convene dialogue will help you, you should consider us part of the team that's trying to help you succeed on that front. So it's direct resources, it's know-how, it's helping us make sure we're making smarter investments, in addition to growing the pot, thinking of us as a resource that can convene a dialogue to support you. I'm really bullish on what you're doing here. I'm really excited about what you're doing here. I'm grateful for the chance you gave me to learn a little bit today. And you should know, we've got a hell of a senator in Steve Santarsiero, who's been a champion of this for a number of years. I'm sure Representative Brennan is going to continue that work. And it is very unique to have two county commissioners who are, three really, who are investing in this type of research and development and believe that this is an important thing the county should be investing in. I'm a former county commissioner. We didn't make these kind of investments in Montgomery County. The fact that you have that going on here in Bucks County is really, really important. So I want you to kind of cherish the public officials that you have and lean on them as well. And then just finally, to my friend Jim Greenwood, you've been in my ear for a long time about the importance of investing in biotech. I told you we would come here. This is not the only visit we'll make to supporting biotech, but thanks for your leadership in this area over many, many years. And thanks for focusing my team's attention on this, both in our transition and since then. So appreciate it very much. And then Lou, I'll turn it back to you for any final comments, but thanks for your enthusiastic leadership and look forward to a great partnership.